So we have a Confluence server set up. This is an internal one. We just use it for naming so that it says Confluence so we can all track it. But this is an internal Confluence server. And I'm just going to go over here and browse into my personal space. And just browse through pages. And of course, this is just basically the default namespace that you guys create on Confluence install for each user. Okay, well, let me show you kind of how we work with documents. One of the things, well, we'll just get started with ePublisher. So ePublisher it's not a plugin to Confluence. What it's doing is it's publishing to Confluence. So what we're going to do is take source content and then repurpose it, and then deploy that out to the Confluence wiki server. And go through that. All right, so for a user coming in, experience is pretty much going to be creating a new project. Let's create a Confluence project. Name it Confluence. And ePublisher goes to a variety of outputs, of course, now including Confluence. I'm just going to create this project. And by default, we just created an empty project here. And what I'm going to start off with is Alan's wiki white paper. I'm going to add this into the project. And this is the part of ePublisher doing some of this single sourcing. We're going to scan for styles in the source document so that we can control how this is going to show up in Confluence. So I'm going to say yes and let this go ahead and scan the source document. What we'd see in ePublisher is we're going to have pulled in any paragraph styles that are present, character styles, things like that. And then it enables our UI to control things such as font and text properties, as well as some additional controls we'll show in just a minute. Well, let's just open this document and take a look at what it looks like in Word. This is the source. It's, again, our wiki white paper. And as you can see, it's a single document. It does have some embedded page breaks, but primarily it's set up, it's flowed for print. Now what we're going to be doing in here is, as we repurpose this for the wiki, we'd like to do a couple things. One of these is, this consists of heading 1 and heading 2 paragraphs. What we'd like to do is create new pages as those headings are encountered, so that those end up being wiki pages in Confluence, and also so that we can recreate the TOC both as a clickable TOC, but also to, when we deploy to Confluence, to set our page hierarchy to reflect that same TOC order. To do that, now that we've scanned these styles, I'm going to go into the paragraph styles, and for us, under our heading 1, what we can go in here and do is to set our table of contents levels and our page breaks. Okay.
Right.
With these in place now, we can simply generate on the ePublisher side. It's going to go in through Word. During this process, similar to what you guys might be going through, we're going to go in and extract as much data as possible. We'll extract any images or graphics that are present, tables, all that other good stuff. And then we'll take care of translating that to appropriate Confluence markup. So from our perspective, and for you authors who are using this, or tech authors who are using this, we can insulate them from starting with the details of Confluence markup. Obviously, the more they learn about Confluence markup, the more they can create custom actions in Confluence and take advantage of that. So I'll just show you really quickly. We started with this one document, but it actually expanded out into a number of documents here. And if we take a look at one of these, you see the appropriate markups. We have support for some of the CSS to the extent it's supported by Confluence, and we're taking advantage of the content formatting macros the name eludes me at the moment, to get some advanced to get more flexible table features.
Okay.
To take advantage of some of the include operations.
Okay.
But you do see anchor destinations are present, things like that. Now this is great. We've created the markup for these, but obviously we need to get this deployed up to the Confluence server. So to do that, in ePublisher, we can add a deployment target.
Okay.
Confluence. And I'm going to add this. I'll just put it in my personal space. And I can go ahead and test the connection. Connection's good. At this point, I can go ahead and specify I'd like to deploy to that location.
Okay.
And now for ePublisher, I can simply say, and just to show that what we're doing here, I'm going to come back here to my page list. Again, here's my page list right now. It's just showing our 2 pages. Let's look at the tree version. And now we'll go ahead and have ePublisher do the deployment. This is using Confluence's remote API, which is the XML RPC API. And if we reload, we should now see our content pushed up there. So this is the TOC being used to the layout hierarchy that's in our TOC is also being used. We're setting the page hierarchies there. If we click into the table of contents, here is ePublisher's version of that TOC. You have navigation links, prev next. I don't believe there's an index on this one. We did request that it be generated. And you can come through here, and you're seeing our translation of the source content for Confluence markup.
Okay, so is there a kind of a style guide or something that says on the top of my pages I would like some links that point to the table of contents and the previous and back images and so on, or is that does Publisher just do that for you automatically? Right.
So actually, one of the key parts of our product is it is a platform. We do provide baseline functionality out of box, but it's completely extensible. And in this particular case, this is done using page templates, and users are free to change this in any way they like. This is simply the default functionality we provide.
Awesome.
Certainly what we've found is that, of course, contributors have a different view of the technical writing than does the tech author, as far as organization, phrases, linking, things like that. What we've seen is that by pushing it to the wiki, you really give them a chance to just contribute content and not worry about details such as, what are the correct style names to use, or how should this be, what are the corporate standards for some of these things. And then you allow an expert to come in and use the wiki features of, viewing change histories and going back through all that, so that they can then apply those changes into the release. What we actually do, we actually deploy to new locations. In the case of Confluence, it would be reasonable to do a release-specific space. And when you do a release, have a specific space published to it, and then basically any and all change deltas in the space could be applied to future documentation. Is one way to use it.
So you've been showing us how to publish pages from the UI. Can you do it via batch as well? In other words, could you schedule a regular batch job to publish your documentation to the wiki?
You certainly can. So let me just take a moment. I'm going to close down some of this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in a Framemaker source just to give us some additional content.
And by the way, it's worth noting we can actually, as Ben's doing, we can actually mix different sources too into a single project. So if you've got somebody who's like an enterprise where maybe marketing are trying to do something and they're pulling Framemaker documents from the tech.org organization and Word from marketing or engineering, and then they need to put them into a common output, we can do that as well. And you can also mix in the DIT XML documents as well. So you can.
Yeah, and then they'll come out the other end looking more or less the same.
Yeah. 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 Once you get it to the other end, you can't really tell which came from where.
So what I'm going to do is actually run this on AutoMap. This is our. You can schedule this through the UI. We do have a UI for this. I'm just going to kind of cheat and do this on the command line, just to prove to you that we are doing this on the command line.
What Ben's running here is Automat, which is our server product, server license product for batch processing. I know Ben likes to use the command line. I prefer the UI. It does have a nice UI where you can set things up, and it will also give you email notification as well. So when the jobs are complete and things like that. So.
Batch publishing, a number of cases. Just by the way, it was going through all the documents there. Cases are these, or folks have these integrated as part of their build systems overnight. Good example might be if they're delivering their online help. In those cases, in the case of the wiki, it could be, as Sarah's describing, if you have a documentation set, maybe for internal policies and procedures at a company, folks are actually maintaining those in Word or Frame or some other source, and then those publish updates on a nightly basis to the internal wikis, and then users access the information through the wiki. So that's a case where they can keep those two in sync. Space, I'm going to browse the pages. Okay, we do have some additional pages now starting to show up, and I'm going to go into the TOC. This TOC now combines the Word document here with the Framemaker documents that came in, and they're providing a unified TOC and navigation links between these. So there's the end of the Word document, and then we're going into the Frame document here, the Framemaker content. This has some tables, images, things like that. We also preserve styling as best we can. And there we go.